All right, class is in session. I want to do a quick breakdown of this. This is Megan Kelly talking to Russell Brand. Apparently, he's in a little hot seat, gotten himself into a little sexual allegation. He has to go to trial in the UK, apparently. I think he's doing kind of a PR tour, in my opinion. He's found Jesus, apparently, literally. I think he's found, Christianity, Jesus. He's letting everybody know, and kind of coincidental, or kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of interesting. He's found it now that he's gonna have to go to trial. So, and he sure is, wearing that on his sleeve a lot, and so that's where I'm kind of cynical, and we'll see. Time will tell. But I had some strong opinions when he was talking about sexuality and his sex addiction, and how how he views sex, and he's kind of telling people on the show and while talking to Megan this is the right view of sex, and anyway, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't think it's a good message, in my opinion. And I think it could, because I do this stuff to help men, and I think that men that listen to this, or someone like him, or if he's doing other shows and they hear his opinions, I think that could really confuse men, and also not only confuse them with the way he talks about sex and his cure of his sex addiction, and I think it puts men at risk of being controlled by women, because women use, their most powerful agency is their sex, and they use it to control. And I think that if men see it in the way sex the way he sees it, it could put men at risk of being manipulated by women through sex. So anyway, I want to talk about, break it down, and hopefully men will see it my way, and not see it his way, and I think my way will protect men. So let's talk about it.
High school, then you went to the Royal Academy of Theatre. What do you call it? What's the name of it?
Into RADA is what you're alluding to, and I still feel a pang of disappointment even to hear its name mentioned. I went to a place called Drama Centre.
Let's go.
After a show at the Brixton Academy, the female cast of a popular reality...
Hold on. That's where I want to go with it.
I stopped drinking, and by God's grace became abstinent one day at a time through the 12-step programs, which are really the foundation of my spiritual life, thank God, because that's where you
Let's
first
go back.
learn. It's not really drugs you're addicted to.
Let's go back. All right, here we go.
The first time I took it was 19. I was dependent on it by the time I was, I reckon,
all right, here we go.
23. I got my first real gig was I started hosting shows when I put on 24, 25 on MTV. This was before anyone knew I was. They were late at night. I was in nightclubs, and I would talk to people that it was when club culture was a big deal in Europe, and people were taking ecstasy and MDMA, Molly you call it in your country, I think. And people were off their faces, and I would say crazy stuff to them because I was high also, but I was able to follow these very surreal and unusual rants. What people didn't know is that while they were on ecstasy, I was on crack and heroin, and that was my first little go at being famous, and having money, and not living.
It's
on
just stimulant and a depressant,
so
antagonist.
That I hit a
Works good together, apparently.
I crashed and burned real fast.
But to the point where I don't know, it sounds like it was just prior to this, but you did your first acting gig in high school, then you went to the Royal Academy of Theatre. What do you call it? What's the name of it?
Into RADA is what you're alluding to, and I still feel a pang of disappointment even to hear its name mentioned. I went to a place called Drama Centre, which is a very good school where people like Pierce Brosnan and Simon Callow and who are these stars nowadays? Fassbender, Tom Hardy, good actors went there. So a very gritty Stanislavski-based school. I went there and they loved me, they adored me. Then I went crazy. I took too many drugs. They threw me out. I could get thrown out of everywhere. Thrown out of the UK, thrown out of Hollywood, thrown out of every school I was ever at.
But you kept landing on your feet.
Somehow.
So you were young. You were in your young 20s when you found the glory of these drugs, which of course is always followed by something, I don't know what we call it, but it's the opposite of glory. And how long did it take you before you got clean off the drugs and sort of the sex addiction took their place?
Oh, well, the sex addiction, I have to say, was, I got
concurrent.
Yeah, but it gets worse without drugs, because obviously there are impeding factors. If you're dependent on heroin, without going into too much graphic detail, there are a number of obstacles to a successful sex life. But I stopped taking heroin.
Couldn't get his dick hard.
And stopped drinking, and by God's grace became abstinent one day at a time through the 12-step programs, which are really the foundation of my spiritual life, thank God, because that's where you first learn. It's not really drugs you're addicted to, you're addicted to yourself. You're addicted to this particular perspective. You're addicted to control. You are so obsessed with who you are and what you want that you can't really be of any use to anybody in this world. That's what I learned anyway. But I only learned it briefly And the thing is once I stopped taking drugs, my life improved radically in a number of ways. I became successful in my country. I had a bunch of TV shows and became quite
Sorry about
celebrated.
that.
In fact, one might say it really took off like a rocket. And there was a moment of real glory. Don't you remember, Megan? Wasn't there a bit when you first started to be successful where it's like, oh my God, it's working. I'm successful. People see me. A world that's continually saying no is now just saying yes, yes, yes. You can host these awards.
Well, I
you
think
can
the
have a
world
book
is,
deal, you can have your own shows. It was
See,
so
but
amazing
here,
when
hold
that
on real
happened.
quick.
But I think probably because of what I would now call sort of false idolatry, I easily...
Okay, real quick, I want to say, you know, he's like, oh, finally the world's seeing me or whatever, and he's having, and Megan's like, yeah, no, but Megan's lived a different life than you, Russell. She's, you know, and again, not in a bad way, but she's got pretty privilege. I'm sure she is, you know, she's been a celebrity her whole life, you know, as pretty as she is, and Megan's beautiful. And, you know, so she was given things at a young age, and, you know, and it's why she's on here. It's why she's so popular. I mean, her, you know, she wasn't so pretty, you know, she would never got that spot, not never, but that helped her get her spot at Fox. So, you know, she didn't need fame really, as, you know, like you did, Russell. I'm just saying. So, let's go.
Addiction might be an easier term. I drifted into just the worship factor, that the tendency to worship really drifted into the availability of, you know, casual encounters.
I mean, well, can you describe, because when you write about it in the book, you're very open about these addictions and this text addiction details.
Here's the thing. I mean, now, obviously he's going to say he had sex addiction, blah, 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 whatever. I don't have enough information on that. But, of course, it'd be good to say he had it and that he's curing it because, you know, the allegation is, you know, I don't know. It's a sexual allegation. So, you know, at least he can say, you know, hey, I went to treatment. I cured my sex addiction. And, you know, and so no one else is in danger. So let me go, not guilty, you know. A little bit suspect. But also on sex addiction, just like people say porn addiction, right? What is how many pornos do you have to watch? How many hours a day? I mean, you know, people say they have it, but, you know, maybe you just got too much time on your hands. I don't know, you know. Just like sex addiction. Maybe you just like having it, you know, if it's not causing any trouble in your life, you know. So, you know, I mean, one guy might be able to do 100 ladies, you know, in a week, and one guy might be able to do 10 in a week, and the guy doing 100 will, you know, be able to organize that better, and the guy doing 10's having more problems. I'm just saying, you know, I think it's, you know, it's almost self-diagnosis, you know, I had sex addiction. So, a little bit cynical on that, too. So, let's hear this sex addiction he had.
By the way, we're speaking with Russell Brand, and the book is How to Become a Christian in 7 Days. You put it out there, and one of my questions was, like, with the number of women who you openly talk about having interludes with at a time, in a day. Okay,
so also real quick, you know, and I know it's you know, public face, right? But, you know, Megan talking about that she acted almost like a number of times in a day, you know, acting almost like, God, Russell, you were so sexual. Oh my God. Well, I mean, again, just suspect. I have, you know, when Megan talks about sex and stuff like that, you know, especially men, you know, and I'm just, you know, an average guy, you know, living life, and I've dated a lot of ladies, had a lot of success, you know, but at the same time, a person like Megan, very beautiful, very pretty, she's probably had chances at sexual experiences, you know, who knows, you know, I mean, so many, you know, she has options. She's always had options. I mean, lots of options, lots of offers, lots of crazy offers of sexuality, you know. I'm just saying, my point is that, and I'm just, you know, not talking bad, and I have no information, but I don't think men understand. This is why a lot of women have had, you know, some crazy sexual past. Probably all of them, whatever, because they get offered this stuff, you know. I mean, you know. I mean, sex for women it's like, go look at a thirst trap, on Facebook or Instagram, whatever you want to say, and go look at how many guys are, hey, how's it gonna be? Hey. There's like 500 guys saying whatever, you know. Look at me, you're beautiful, blah, blah. Dude, I mean, maybe 500. I mean, you just see all of them, like, you know, clamoring for a piece. I mean, and that's just one half-ass thirst trap bitch. But a person like Megan, I mean, the amount of offers for sexuality and the amount of experiences she's been offered or could have had, it's we can't even fathom. So, and I'm sure she took advantage of some of them, and some of them she didn't. So, and it's her private business, but I'm sure sexuality and is not foreign to her. She's probably had some threesomes, foursomes, whatever. I'm just saying, probably couple switching or something. I mean, when you're as pretty as Megan, that stuff comes easy. Myself, I don't want to go too deep in my own shit, but I mean, I was freaking, how old was I? 45 before I even had a chance or offered, and I lived a pretty boring lifestyle, but at 45 I had my first threesome, and so for me, I mean, girls probably been offered that 100 times in college, and so they took a part in 50 of them, I wasn't offered one until 45, and so and they're not offered around every corner. So I'm just saying, women, their sexual opportunities. I'm not being mad. It's I think it's a beautiful thing. So we as men don't understand the sexuality thrown at women. So anyway, let's keep going.
Several times today, like, this is all before you were young, but like, there was no little blue pill. Like, how does a man even keep up at that level?
I have a real appetite for what I recognise now as God, and that's not unique to me. I think anyone that's an addict, and this is how the 12-step program describes it, Megan, really they are looking for God. We are all looking for God. We were made.
All right, well, that's fine, but I mean, anyway, let's keep going.
And by God, we were made to love God. Now, if you live in a culture and a world that denies the existence of God, I personally was trying to defibrillate the dead and inert world into life.
Okay, so here's where I'm having a problem with that. Not with his God stuff. Is he was having a lot of sex? She just talked about it, and he's saying he's looking for God, but almost making it like there was a problem with what he was doing, right? I don't see a problem, and it's specifically what he talks about here coming up. But it's like, there's people that can behave like he was, and not have a problem with it, and perform effectively at whatever they're doing, and not make it their master, and not make sexuality their not be a slave to it, and have discipline, have again, have a moral compass, be a man of integrity, and have these sexual experiences, and not let it consume you. And you're not looking for anything but God created sex. It's a beautiful thing, and it doesn't have to be this, I was doing this and I wasn't really looking for sex, I was looking for God, and I was doing. Maybe I was looking for sex, and I can control myself, but you can't. And just like anything, sex has a lot of responsibility with it, because some of the consequences from it can be severe, but you got to respect it. Just like, let's say, a pistol or firearms, right? One guy can use firearms and have no safety practices while using it, and he goes off and wounds 3 people while at the shooting range because he's using poor safety practices. Well, if he comes on one of these shows that nobody needs to be using firearms, I was looking for God when I was using firearms, and I shot 2 people, but it's like, so a lot of people can go to the shooting range or have guns for years, and they practice, they respect the gun, they respect what it does. It's a tool for very effective uses, and so they respect that gun. They know how dangerous it can be if you don't practice the safety rules. So, they have no problem with guns. So it's like, just because something can be dangerous or can be bad, doesn't mean it's how you use it, right? I can use fire to burn down a house, or I can use fire to cook food and heat things. So, just because he had a problem with sex and it consumed him, hey, bro, don't speak to me, bro. I'm just saying, as a form of speech, is I'm dealing with sex just fine, and men out there, dude, don't let anyone tell you how to think about, it could be better, I had a problem with it, or screwing 200 ladies a day, or I'm being exaggerating, but screwing 2 women a day, I was so bad. No, if that's what you want to do, and that's your identity, and you're a moral, you have morals and values, and your moral compass is on straight, your head's on straight, there's nothing wrong. There is no morality in sex. Shout out Rollo Tomasi and his book Religion. I suggest guys get that book, especially his book on sexuality. or the chapter of sexuality, it cured me. His first sentence is, there is no morality in sex. And once I learned that, I unapologetically can come to women and say, whatever I want to them. Be very direct and honest. And, women will try to shame you, Well, you can't shame me. There ain't no morality in it. And I'm unapologetically, made by God to want to have sex and be driven by my testosterone to have sex. So I embrace that. So don't try to shame me at all on sex.
Through chemicals at first, and then sex is a gift, and sex used appropriately is a marvelous and wonderful and lovely experience. But sex in the hands of an idiot is a sort of
right. That's a good point. That's what I just said.
Energy. I've got a lot of energy.
Yes, we can see that.
And a lot of gifts. But those gifts must always be marshalled to the service of the highest good. And if you don't know that, and you use it essentially for self-indulgence, you will get...
There's nothing wrong with using sex for self-indulgence. Now, you do have another person there, so, as long as they're consenting and you respect them and, respect what's going on and, have high respect for the person you're having sex with, and making sure they're having a good time, having sex, and not just for your benefit, but it's nothing wrong. Sorry, I had to get up there. Nothing wrong with using sex for your own personal pleasure. That's where I'll disagree. You ain't gonna shame me on that. You got one life, and this life is short, so enjoy it. And sex was a gift from God. Go enjoy what God gave you, and don't let anybody, especially a guy like him who had tons of it, and then all of a sudden is like, yeah, you guys need to calm the hell down. No, and start being preachy out here about how, whatever. But my point is that, it's kind of like the girl on the dating apps. I've had my fun. I'm ready to settle down. Well, that's kind of what he's doing. I've had my fun. The worst bio on dating apps from women. I've had my fun. Now I'm ready. Yeah, ladies, come on, you gotta stop all that. So the guys that you had hookups with and banged, you're done with them, but now I gotta go take you out for 10 dates. Come on, that's funny.
Very, very serious trouble. You will get in very serious trouble, and you will hurt a lot of people. Wow, just the other day in a 12-step environment, I heard someone say that when you drink a bottle of
if you're having great sex and you respect it and you're very honest and you only do it with people that have pure, genuine, burning desire for you, and you're not hurting anybody. The key, especially with sex, is open, honest, authentic. Have good skills. Make sure that they're 100% into it, 110% into it. They have pure, burning desire for you, and you're very clear and honest with them and respectful to the person you're having sex with. Before and after. And you'll have no problems with anybody, The
bottle, that once you put it down, doesn't have any feelings about it. When you start to do stuff like that in other areas of behavioural addiction, obviously sex is what I'm referring to, then you're creating a lot of ill will.
Have you ever taken a number on the number of women who you've been with?
Fox skills there.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Like the Fox skills, get a number, get a stat. Well, all right, let's think about this mathematically. There was a sort of period between, I think I became sort of attractive in the late 90s, and I think that attractiveness endured till possibly in 2015.
He has no idea. It's going to be thousands, but he has no idea.
We're talking very high.
That's fine. So what?
Four.
Hang on. I got it.
Varieties of sexual.
Okay, so I don't think Russell Brand got popular until maybe his 20s, mid-20s, to where maybe he could do all this stuff. But look, dude, he's talking about thousands. He's like, Megan, look at it. I don't know Megan's sexual past, this and that. But bro, I'm just saying, I don't know when she got married. I think she got married later in life. So she was single for a while, I think. I should look into that. But anyway, let's just say she was single from 20 to 30. Okay? Dude, Megan's body count, I'm just saying, and I don't have a problem with it. It's her business, right? And it should be private. But she could run 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 body count. No problem. Not even bat an eye. Whatever his is, Megan could double it. Just, she's like, like in an F1 car and you're in a, Honda Accord and you're about to race. That's her body count compared to Russell Brand. Even though he had, celebrity, dude, Megan's been getting offered sex. I'm just saying, and again, I'm not trying to, I'm just saying beautiful women like her. And much respect to Megan. I always thought she was beautiful and is beautiful. Please don't think I'm trying to disrespect her, But she's been getting offered, it's like any woman, been getting offered sex since she was 13. Who knows? Maybe she was 15. We're never going to know when she had it. Probably a lot younger than a lot of men when she had. So it's 15 years, 15 to 30. Dude, she could run up 1,000, 2,000 easy. So, Russell, yeah.
Then it would be.
So
You're not.
Thousands.
And look at. I love the privacy of sexuality in women. Megan's like, wow, dude. She could easily be at 5,000 and not even be trying hard, So and probably is. I'm just saying. Look, and that's not a bad thing to say.
It was very foolish.
Name job.
I don't judge, seriously.
Smile curling at the corner.
That's not passive aggressive.
Trial in October. I'm still like, yes, I did very well. I've still not learned the lesson. I have learned the lesson. I've learned the lesson, Lord.
See, you talk about the trial.
We're talking about sex here. We're not talking about sexual assault, which is very different.
Well, but it's still sex is sacred. Sex
Here we go. Here we go.
Pornography desacralizes sex.
Okay. Oh, by the way. But again, he's found Christianity, and I'm not a good Christian. I mean, not a good Catholic. So I'm not going to get into the religious debate of it. But sex is about reproduction. Lions have it, zebras have it. I'm just talking about mammals so far. Dogs have it, cats have it. Do great whales have it? I know whales are a mammal. Dolphins have it. But it's reproduction, So, and we're animals just like they are, right? So sex is not sacred. It's a part of reproduction. And God gave men testosterone to go out there and be driven to have sex because, and we've been successful. It's been very successful. God designed a very efficient, human mating strategy, which allows us to be one of the things that allows us to be, the alpha apex predators, so he gave men the testosterone, a beautiful. I actually go get a shot of it today because I'm on TRT. I'd suggest every man probably over, talk with your doctor. I think over 30 or 35. I don't know. Get on it. But obviously, talk with your doctor. But dude, that hormone. He gave that to us, and it gives us a beautiful sex drive, a very high sex drive, and we're driven to want to have lots of partners. So, God did that to, help keep our species going. So why would we say, oh, it's so sacred? No, it's an act. It's like, it's a verb. Like, I'm going to have sex. I'm going to run. I'm going to play baseball. It's not sacred. And here's the thing. Here's where I want to be very clear is, women don't say stuff like this to get men to back off. I need to go on 5 more dates. You need to pay for my nails. I need my rent paid. Sex is sacred. You can't get. Don't let them tell you this, guys. If they start talking like this, she's not the one. She's not the one. A girl who really, really likes you could be as Christian as she could want to be, and she's still gonna have sex. She's still gonna fuck you. When a woman wants to bang you, she'll find a way to bang you, Christian or not. She'll bang you right up there with the preacher. I'm just saying. So don't let the attention whores and, the sugar babies that want something from you, the passenger princesses, don't let them say, sex is sacred and my body's a temple, sacred, and you better not stick that dirty wiener in me and make you feel shame. Never feel shame for wanting sex. Be unapologetic about your sex, gentlemen. I'm telling you, this is how I teach it, my opinion. And it's helped me so much, because you ain't gonna make me feel bad because women know, men, when you call them or you're asking, they know why you're calling. They know men want sex. So don't shy away from it. Own it. Okay? And you'll be much more respected, and there will be no, I'm very clear on what I'm there for, what I'm doing. I tell women, this is, sex is what I want. And I expect, I want to date someone with high interest, and I expect to have it on the first date. I tell them right 100%. So if that's not you, then and I'll do a little more smooth than that. But I'm just saying, I have no problem telling them I'm ready to have sex right away. Because that gets rid of the ones that ain't really into me. Anyway, never feel shame.
Promiscuity desacralizes.
Don't let them control you over it.
Sex, the apex of your identity, whether you're a heterosexual or not.
It's not. It doesn't have. It's not. It's no. Just go. It's something to have fun with. This right here. These kind of people, the ones that it's not how they're focused all about it. Like if it wasn't a big thing, quit talking about it. If it ain't such, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, trust me, if you have discipline, you have willpower, you respect, for men, if you respect women like I do, and, you will believe in 100% burning desire, and you would never have sex with a woman that didn't give consent, and, and that's where, sex is beautiful when you're having it with someone that just is purely desirous of you. That's a beautiful thing, So, his idea about, ruining people and, all, sacred and, no, don't believe all that.
He sacralizes sex. Mm-hmm. It's a holy power that I misused.
So you write...
no, he didn't.
You go on a deep dive on your sexual escapades in the book, and I'm just going to read a little bit from it. Again, it's called How to Become a Christian in 7 Days with Russell Brand. I had sex with multiple women, often at the same time, most days for years. It was normal to have 3 ways and 4 ways, and for women who had not met prior to fold into one flesh in my bed. It happened every day. Here are a few occasions that stand out that will help you understand the levels of excess, the sheer abundance and implausibility, the pointlessness of coercion, meaning you never had to nor did coerce anybody to do this with you, as well as
nor should you, and
that is an inevitable accompaniment to all forms of addiction and sin. Such an important point in the hollow sadness. You write, after a transatlantic flight from LA, I invited the whole female flight crew back to my house. They came. They drank, we all messed around, some of them were married or in relationships. I felt like an alchemist. I could create ecstasy out of mundanity. When I would tell my male friends these stories, especially older married ones, I felt so valuable and impressive. Now I see things very differently. Okay,
but listen up. Listen up. What is not said is often more important. And Megan should point this out, but she doesn't, and she would never. And again, I'm not going hard on Megan, but the whole female flight crew went, and they all were banging and having. What's to say about women? What do we always hear about? Well, women don't like sex, and women, I've never had these experiences. As far as for women, they're just there working on a flight, whatever. But my point is that this could have been just a normal girl. This is what they get offered, to go hang out with Russell Brand, just average chicks. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things we don't. Well, I was talking about earlier, right? The type of experiences, the type of options that women have had, their sexual options and experiences are always going to be much more plentiful than men and much more varied than men. But also, the women are going because they love sex. They love to have sex. And that's what we're not talking about. Like, if women were so, if it's sacred and this evil man with testosterone that's just these perverts out here, looking to, like Russell Brand was saying, basically not saying he defiled women, but, I was using them, and they like to be used if they want to be used. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. But what I'm saying is anyone not surprised that, call me, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, all the women on the flight crew went, and they all were banging, and and I'm sure to them it wasn't a big deal because I'm sure they've done it before, So this, like I said, is women love to bang. They love to bang. We're not talking about that. Like he didn't have to work very hard to get a bunch of women to go, have some drinks and go bang with each other, and they're married. So women and sexuality, and I have to say this real quick, and I'll get it going in, but women are very private about their sexuality, and I have said this before. That's good. It's a good thing. But at the same time, there is so much we don't know about women, and especially men, but society in general, that we don't know about women's sexuality. just like his married friends. Oh my God, he's a guy. He took the whole flight. These women are doing it, not just a flight cruise, but women are having a sexual experience like this all the time. Women love sex. They love to be sexual, and they keep it private. And women are having a lot more sex than we even could fathom. And that's a great thing to me. I respect it. I think it's a beautiful thing, right? And when I started learning all this, I'm like, damn, that's cool, right? So point being is, we're, through media, through our conditioning through life, we're kind of told, sugar, spice, and everything nice. And in dating, women will act like, oh, I gotta wait, and I gotta, and we're kind of like, oh yeah, well, men are just the big perverts, and look at all these teachers, sleeping with young boys, those boys are probably hot boys, they're probably the athletes, so, it's hundreds a year, these teachers, so they love sex. Women love sex, and this thing here, right here, is proving it.
After a show at the Brixton Academy, the female cast of a popular reality TV show tumbled out of the after party and poured into my hot tub with no more fanfare or fuss.
Once again, just like the flight crew, the cast of some reality show, they're all busting. I mean, and he's a celebrity, so women do love status. Women love an experience like that. Women love cool experiences, right? If you can create cool experiences like that, they'll go. So if it wasn't him doing it, they'd go off to somebody else. Look, groupies, Gene Simmons, and Machine Gun Kelly, and all these, what was the other guy? He was a rapper, but recently the girl goes on stage and starts doing this hugely sexual dance with him. Not at all embarrassed, right? Which is fine. I think that's great. My point is. It wasn't a one-off. He's having groups and groups of women having these sex orgies, and that is a common, is anyone surprised that these women are doing it? I thought women didn't like sex, Megan. I thought, these poor little ladies, these poor little flowers. No, women are sexual freaking badasses, and I totally respect that. And, so, guys, do not believe that women, do not pedestalize sex, number one, and do not think that women don't love sex. Women love sex, gentlemen.
Would have tipped the contents of an instant soup into a mug. There were at least 5 of them. A couple were sisters, as if some dormant part of me.
He's shaking his head. Nothing wrong with that. They willingly went.
Some dormant part of me, alive only in Christ, already knew the man I would become, the challenges and trials I would face, and the significant fact that I myself would one day be a father to daughters. The apparent mad and hedonic glamour was haunting.
And they're going to do the same thing, and which is perfectly healthy, and you're not going to know, and they're not going to tell you, and your bastardization of yours, or acting like, to save your ass in this trial, but, your bastardization of these experiences is not going to diminish your and again, I'm not trying to talk crap about his daughters, but women do this stuff, and there's nothing wrong with it. And he's sitting there shaking his head, and but he's doing that for his PR, so that when he goes over and has his trial, he's like, see, I hate it. Look at me shaking my head.
As something I couldn't understand. So this is a fascinating picture, because this is the kind of stuff that everybody dreams a famous man, a successful actor, host, comedian, rock star, whatever, life will look like. But they don't acknowledge that second piece of it. That it actually is the same as doing heroin or being an alcoholic.
No, it doesn't have to be. If someone is healthy and they're having sex for the right reasons, Megan, look, the reason that heroin and, alcohol, now I understand where addictions could be bad if they're behavioral addictions and not substance addictions. They could have the same, like gambling or something like that. But again, like heroin is an opioid, right? It's highly addictive. Your body starts depending on it, right? Cocaine, that's, again, your body starts depending on it. So there's a physical addiction, not as well as a mental addiction. So it's not the same as drugs.
Downside of shame, disgust, and never being able to fill the thing you're trying to fill inside yourself.
Yeah. Right, but that's somebody that has sex one time, or 2 times or whatever. They're having it for the wrong reasons. You could have sex with, 20 orgies in 1 month, and but understand who you are, your identity. You have, you're very strong in your morals, Your integrity is high. You have strong values, strong discipline, and huge respect for people and huge respect for intimacy and the people you're having it with. You don't have to worry about, how many people you're having it with. It's not the number. It's your intention, and it's who you are. The truth is inside you. Shout out, Mr. Lucario. It's what is your moral compass? What is your integrity? What is your character? Because if your character's bad, having one person's bad.
Wants you and God loves you.
Don't let people shame you about sex. That's what I'm saying.
You will feel this presence, even at times where you think it unlikely. And that, I suppose, is in my book because I recollect it so clearly that it seemed on the surface like everything you would want in the most ridiculous male fantasy that you can be offered. Multiple attractive women.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And somebody that is maybe you are mentally weaker,
kind of a bit icky
and somebody who's stronger can deal with it.
Obviously, in retrospect, as I've said, I see what that is now.
Just because he fucked up and was a fuck up doesn't mean you will be. Just because you go have a Budweiser after we have hockey games or a baseball game, you guys doesn't mean you're going to become a drunk driver. You're going to become, an alcoholic like somebody's father, Some people can have one beer and go home. And then some people can have, get one beer and they're like, oh my God, this is so great, So he wasn't able to function. There was something inside him that, he needed to use that, but doesn't mean you will. So don't let his experience be your experience.
What you are creating for yourself and for other people is suffering. And you are making yourself into, this is what I understand it as now, Megan, is making yourself a kind of God.
You're not on trial for a sex crime like he is. So, he's going to preach this BS. Don't listen to this stuff as long as you're a moral person.
Opportunity to be of real value, to live a life of actual meaning. These things, oh man, I was once at a 12-step meeting in New Orleans, and I was famous then, I guess, and this guy who had this great beard, and he was older and kind of scruffy and dirty, but solid, looked like a sailor or something, wearing like a sailor's hat, and he was sort of big, and it was in New Orleans. I got arrested on that movie even, man, it's been so crazy this life. He said, fame, celebrity, those things, those are crumbs. I want to be at the banquet. And just yesterday I was reading in the Gospel of Matthew, the banquet is what we've been invited to. We are able to be participants in the glory of all creation.
If he keeps reading the Gospel of Matthew and Gospels after his trial, okay, I'll believe him. But right now, I'm suspect.
Have big contracts, be a star, be fantastic, have women envy you and men want you, or whatever is correct for your gender. But if you choose that path, you will end up in a hollow,
no, you won't.
Barrenness, and maybe...
No, you won't. You did, but doesn't mean somebody that's healthy will. Don't listen to this stuff.
Plus, maybe you won't be blessed as I have been to see the way out of there. And even with the trials and challenges ahead, what I've been granted as a slow learner is a very clear correction and a very obvious...
I said in other videos, I have nowhere near the body count, he does or whatever. Not trying to compete. He's a celebrity. And it's fine. I don't, but... I'm 50 years old, never been accused of any sex crime, I love sex. I've had sex on first dates a lot. I've said I don't even know my body count, but well into the hundreds. So, but that's not a flex, I'm just saying. And never even close have had a woman try to, claim any kind of, sex crimes with me. No. So
that I've been blessed with. I've got an amazing wife that just loves me. I've got really, really beautiful children. I've got amazing friends. Now when that voice and that appetite, that craving, that longing, which I would see kind of as demonic now, when I feel
demonic,
I give it to the cross. I give it to him if I'm smart enough, if I'm alert enough, if I'm awake enough to. I don't ever want to go back there. And I am sad but grateful to have been a participant in a culture that amplifies and advocates for that way of life continually, because even though we're in post-Me Too now, and we've seen lots of statues, real and figurative, pulled down, I think a lot of young men that don't even observe traditional media anymore, but participating in online media figures, and there are a lot of them very sort of male-oriented social media figures, will still think that my identity is if I can sleep with lots of women, if I can have fast cars, if I can dominate and control. But this empire of domination and control, it uses us as its fuel. For a minute, it will tell us we're beautiful, but when it's finished with us,
True.
it will spit us out.
It has to come from inside. That's
He loves us in our brokenness, in our vulnerability, in my ineptitude,
But that has nothing to do with,
ability to continually
experiencing a lot of different experiences in sex and having sex the way you want it. And,
Why would I not participate in that? And participate along with other people in that? Why would I follow this empire of false idolatry and lies, where every single hero that it erects eventually, inevitably tumbles and falls, because that's what empires do. When what we
what's this have to do with sex?
Is eternity, that which is outside of time.
See, this is PR for his trial.
Graves, but the grave is coming with its hungry mouth. When we get there,
God,
let's go
come on,
hand in
man.
hand together into eternity, not having tried to create the simulacrum of permanence here. Permanent idols and skyscrapers and self-made icons scratched out with our own clumsy hands.
Let me ask you something that Bill Maher says about something he says on this subject.
I'm gonna do this one. I'm
married.
Yeah.
And he says it's because he didn't want to have to give up lust, that he enjoys lust too much.
I respect Bill Maher, and he's gonna go and say Bill Maher, blah blah blah. No, Bill Maher is an honest. As far as this goes, he's being honest. He's honest with himself. He's a man. He knows the power of sex. He knows the joy of sex. He knows he loves to have sex. So he's not be getting married. Nothing wrong with that. Not a damn thing wrong with that. And don't let anyone shame you. And he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy for saying that because, he's respecting it. But he's going to say something and judge him.
As somebody who's been on both sides of this and is currently in a loving marriage, which does, I hate to tell you, Bill, include lust. It's not like...
yeah. Anyway, so can not being married.
First date.
And Bill Maher never said, she said it can include lust. Yeah, but you can't go have sex with other people, Megan. He wants to have lust. He means I want to have sex with other people. I want variety. And if he's ethical, then he can't get married because he can't have variety. He didn't say there's no lust. He just doesn't want to keep having that lust with the same person.
Like the first year, but it develops into something else. What do you think he's missing?
Nothing.
What Bill Maher, and with all due respect to him, there is missing and living through is a self-perpetuated adolescence.
No,
No.
And this is where they shame you. And this is where they shame you.
What Bill Maher is missing is intimacy. You can achieve promiscuity.
Hang on. You can be very intimate, and you can experience intimacy how you like to experience it, and sex can be very intimate. And those that respect it, and don't just see the other person as an object, and realize that this private moment that you're in and this intimate moment that you're in is very beautiful. You can have intimacy. You don't need the same woman hanging around for years to make it intimate. This is all BS.
False intimacy that sort of feels
They're no
kind
false.
of wonderful sometimes.
No, this is.
The charge of sexuality around.
Don't let anybody tell you how to think about sex that makes you feel bad. As long as you're moral, as long as you have integrity, as long as you have good character, as long as your values are strong, the way you want to have sex, there's nothing wrong with it.
Instead of the thing itself, I actually really love Bill Maher.
Yeah.
I think I've been in his shows a couple of times, and I think he's a really, really lovely person.
Mm-hmm.
And I reckon that what Bill Maher...
I like him more now. He's honest. I didn't know this. He's very honest.
To love. Like, the one day he'll and hear Bill Maher say, man, I don't know what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
I have a father, I have a wife that I love.
You don't have to. No. Hell no.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's capable. He doesn't strike me as...
Yeah, and that's okay.
He's in a very
and that's okay.
You have to arrest yourself. You have to participate.
And
in
Megan
it.
liked that life for a long time. I think she was in her 30s. I'm gonna look, but and checking it good. She was in her 30s,
I wouldn't be the person I am.
maybe mid 30s.
Perspective that's available, but obviously for me, I'm like, wow, I wish I hadn't hurt all of these people. Also, I knew my wife.
How do you
when she was 19 and I was 30? Around like
having sex with a woman doesn't have to be hurtful, even if it's casual. As long as you know it's casual, she knows it's casual, and you've made no promises. That you both know what the deal is. You're totally honest, upfront, moral, and respect. No one gets hurt with sex.
These things are sort of kicking off. I could have married her. I could have 8 kids.
Yeah.
I could 20 years in. I could have more time with her.
But that's not really true, because had the you of that year married the her of that year, you wouldn't have produced the same kids. You wouldn't have been the same people. You wouldn't have been as good parents. I do think that kind of stuff is meant to be when it happens.
Right.
Yeah, there's 0 point in lamenting timing on things like a great relationship. It's like it came when it came because you were ready for it. You manifested it when you were ready for it.
Whatever.
Okay,
Manifested
let's
it. Come
about
on.
the young girl, because that one's just bothering me. How is it that you had a relationship with a 16-year-old girl?
Right, I'll give you some stories because some of this stuff pertains to ongoing legal situations out of respect for the judicial process and everybody involved.
I don't want to get you in more trouble than you're already facing.
Yes, I'm in enough trouble. I want to contextualize it in this way.
Men love beautiful women. Men love young, beautiful women. 16-year-olds can look 18. I'm not saying that I condone being with a 16-year-old. I'm just saying,
16. If you're 16, don't have sex with someone that's 15.
Right.
That's the law. I'm talking about the law. If you're a 30-year-old man and you're really famous, I now know, don't have sex with anybody at all because you are over-endowed and empowered in ways that make the match unlikely to be fair. What I would say is I didn't have a penchant for young girls, That's not my thing. Mm-hmm. That's not my thing. That's just...
We'll cover this and then we'll
just
stop.
reading up on
it's like a
this
trawler.
Piece of your history. It's not like it's not a common theme that keeps coming
up.
up.
I really liked older women, black women, white women, thin women, fat women. It's love. It's love, actually.
Okay, this is BS. This is his PR, No, he likes beautiful. Did you see any... He just had pictures of women he dated. Did you see any fat women there? No, come on. Don't be... Okay, this is what I don't like about it. That's inauthentic. A fat woman... Blah, 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 blah. No, you don't, dude. You like pretty, young-looking... Not young, but, fit, feminine.
It's like, oh my God, you're so... And also, it was sincere. The reason that I was sleeping with lots of people, I think, is because I see beauty. I see it. I see the beauty. I'm not like, oh, I'm just going to tell this ugly cow. I love you. I love you. It feels very, very real. So for me, the age of consent would be something I'd be very alert to and would check. And also, by the way, I'm not it's not a kink of mine to if anything, it would be, oh no, man.
You like the seniors?
Yeah, if anything.
Here we go. This is PR. This is PR. But it's good PR. Good. Yes, we all love the old elderly women to have sex with.
House opposite, Josie. Who just was on the phone.
Would I rather have a hot young 20-year-old, or would I rather have a bitter, jaded 55-year-old? Come on, guys.
In my book, Should Know the Tenses as an author. Doug would never make a mistake like that. I'd written about Josie, right? And she would have been she was a single mum herself, and one time her hot water wasn't working at the house, and I was about 7 years old, and I went and played with my toys in the bathroom.
Yeah, so you could go look at some old lady. Come on, man.
My mum. All
right, we're going to end it there. But anyway, lessons learned in this. First of all, do not ever let women shame you about how you feel about sexuality. There is no morality in sexuality. Have sex the way you want to have sex. Guys, be direct, be respectful, be open, be very open with women, what you want. They know what you want anyway. And I've talked to thousands of women. And I've asked them, almost all of them. And here's one thing, guys. This is write this down, put an asterisk on it. Women have laughed before because they say, you know what guys always say when they meet them? Especially from the dating apps, they say, guys will say, oh, I'm not like those other guys. They just want to bang, But I like to get to know you. And women inside, they'll roll their eyes like, oh, Lord, really, really another one? So that right there, women they know why you're talking to them. So don't be apologetic about it. Be unapologetic. The ones that want to have sex with you will respect the fact that you are unapologetic. Women like men who are assertive, direct, and I've said it with my full chest about, hey, I'm looking to have sex, blah, blah, blah. Did you want to have sex? Blah, blah, blah. Come over. And the more you say it with the full chest, and, women are very kind, even if they don't want to. They're like, no, blah, blah. But they're not mean about it, They're mean when you kind of, you're wishy-washy and indirect, because they deal with those guys a lot, But yeah, and here's another one. I'll give you another, this is another asterisk or 10-cent worth of information. You always remember this one. When you're talking to women, never talk about how good you are at sex. You can always kind of self-deprecate on that, a little bit. Never talk about your prowess, because all guys will. And here's a real important one. And I've talked to numerous women on this, and a really good friend of mine told me this. Never talk about how good you are orally with the woman. Never talk about how good you can eat that kitty, because every man says that. I learned that, oh gosh, probably 6-7 years ago, and I used to be saying that, and women will roll their eyes. It used to piss me off, because I would always hear like, oh, I always hear that, and I'd be like, damn it, or that's what the last guy told me, and I'd always get mad, whatever. When I'd hear that, and I'd forget, and then I finally figured out. And I started asking, and I'm like, do all guys say this? And they're like, yeah. And so now I joke about it, and I'll tell a lady like, hey, I bet I'll tell you something that you never hear, and I'll be like, I can eat kitty better than, and they're like, oh my God. Oh, so don't ever talk about how well you can eat pussy. Don't ever talk about how good you are at sex. Don't ever talk about your D size. Don't ever talk about, or don't ever send a D pic either. And don't send any kind of sexual pictures to a woman. Never. I was dating a woman one time, and she was so cool. She was actually really good at sex, and she was she loved sex. But anyway, she thanked me. She was really hot, But anyway, not a flex. What I'm saying, and the reason I say this is because, she's frequently having it or whatever. And she told me, she goes, you know what? You're one of the only guys that never sent me a sex video of yourself or whatever, or a naked video. And I was like, yeah, I don't send those. She's like, I appreciate that. So don't be that guy, unless she asks, don't be that guy, even, whatever. But anything else I can quickly tell y'all, because I need to end this. But yeah, so there's no morality. If you're strong in your values, if you're strong in your convictions, if you are a person with integrity, if you're a person that highly respects women, if you're a person that would never have sex with a woman without consent, if a woman's experience with sex with you is important, you feel that, you pleasuring a woman and having an experience with a woman is an important thing for you. If you're that type of person, and you totally respect women and respect sexuality, will respect her after that, then, and you know you're that person, which, it should be you, because that should be most guys, then don't be at all ashamed at any kind of sexual experience you want to have with her, and let women know, I only want to have sex with women that really want to have sex with me, and then you don't have nothing to worry about. Some guy telling you sex is sacred and you got to wait this and God this, and never apologize for how you feel about sex, and never apologize for you wanting to have sex with a woman. Never apologize about something you wanted to try or do, or don't let them do it. Women will try to control you, manipulate you, shame you, and it used to work on me, but not anymore. Once you understand that, you'll never be controlled by sex again. Never. Especially by women, they might go, oh my God, what do you tell you think about? And like, this is who I am, and God designed me to be this way. So you're not gonna shame me about sex. I have no problem with it. But anyway, I think that's about it. I guess I'll stop it here, and we'll see you on the next one.